Welcome back to Mommy Seasons. You are listening to part two of our learning and teaching patience episodes. Last week, we talked about learning patience. Today, we're going to be talking about teaching patience. So if you missed last week's episode, you can go and check that out. We're kind of segueing into teaching patience now in our children. Welcome to the Mommy Seasons podcast, where we are learning to be present from one season to the next. We will focus on personal growth in motherhood, as well as our spiritual, individual, and family lives.
Our hope is to share how we can all find the joy, the strength, and the courage each day in Christ. Let's get started.
Do you want to say anything?
Welcome, listeners. We're glad you're back. This is Aurelia, and we hope that we can inspire you in what we're going to share today. And again, we're just happy to have you here.
Thanks, Mom. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to talk about teaching patience today. Just like the previous episode, we broke this down into just a few bullet points that we're going to hit. Things that have helped us in our own personal lives, as well as bringing some biblical truths into this as well. So let's start off with bullet point number 1 for teaching patience, and that is modeling behavior. So as parents, we want to model the behavior to our children that we want to see. If you have a 2-year-old and they see you yell at your dog every single time you're trying to get out the door on time, they start yelling at the dog. Poor Autumn, our dog. I remember when Talon started doing that, Mom. It cut me to the core. It would be the mornings when we were trying to get ready. I was trying to get ready to get out the door to go to work, and we had just moved into our new house, and she just decided to forget her potty training ways after 4 years of her life and pee in our new house. So I would stick her in the basement so she had room and space, but was separated from the rest of our house when I went to work, and it was just a hot mess. Anyway, I digress. My kids started yelling at my dog just like I did. Literally, Mom, like when I come back home, he would just like, for no reason, would just go up to her. Stop it, Autumn. She wasn't even doing anything. No, Autumn. Down, Autumn. She's literally right here, and her little ears are back. I'm sorry. We're in a better place now, aren't we? But modeling behavior, And it's funny, like she's potty trained now. There was a few weeks there where he had to put a lot of effort into doing that again, retraining her. And, we try to take her on walks now, and it's already so cute to see Talon's presence change around her, his demeanor change around her. It's like, great job, Autumn. Here, Autumn, he wants, it's just funny.
He's encouraging her.
Yes. So modeling behavior, look at her. Anyway, model the behavior you want to see. So, in everyday moments, whether that's waiting in line at the grocery store, waiting for your food, sharing toys with friends. And at one point I want to say is that just as we are called to be a light to the world, this includes our children, to be a light to them, showing and training them how we can practice self-restraint and they can practice self-restraint. So, what do you think, Mom?
Well, you absolutely hit it. Modeling behavior is what we talked about in the last segment about we have to learn it first, that patience, and that patience is going to be displayed in how we talk to them, how we love them, how we teach them things, and that patience that we show them as, like you said, we're out of the store and not push ahead of everybody else, and instead giving grace and let the other person, say, for example, they have less grocery items go before you. That's teaching them patience. If you're in a park and you want to run and get that swing before that next child does, you know, giving them that example. We'll let them go first. We'll go play somewhere else. Those models that you're teaching them are in everyday life, even as when you are sitting down in a meal and you're letting them get that, you know, first um, um, spoonful of mashed potatoes instead of, you know, or then instead of someone else. You're modeling all these daily life to them that
Yeah.
you see. And a lot of times we have to recognize that we have to step back as we learned our patience, that it's an every day that you do it. And that goes back again. I always think about being humble. Look at the other person as more value than you, and that love and that patience that comes through patience. And but it's really, it goes back to the heart, loving that person,
Mhm.
and recognizing that sometimes, you know, as a little child, they don't know. They just want
Yeah.
what they want. Just as us, if we don't learn it at that age, we're going to grow up to be that young adult to that older adult, that it's all about me, like you mentioned last time we spoke about us learning. Well, today we teach it, and we
Mhm.
should by being that example to them. You know, don't be afraid to
Yeah.
do it in everyday. And there's so many opportunities. You know,
Yes.
when they're brushing, there's so many things, and you can do it with one another. You can do it through with others. You know, and it's let them see it in your life, so that way you can show them. But we also have to teach them.
Yes. There's a good verse in
Yes.
Proverbs 15:8 that says 15:18 that says, "Hot tempers cause arguments, but patience brings peace."
Oh,
And that
so
is
true.
so true.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's true. How there's no good that comes from exploding, whether
Mhm.
it's at your kids or at
Mhm.
others, because they're just gonna do it back to you,
Exactly.
in the future. But patience brings peace, and it's so hard, especially when those twos and they're throwing tantrums, and it's rough. But getting down at their level, modeling that behavior over time, it gets easier. It
Mhm.
does.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. And like you said about that, hot temper causes arguments, but patience brings peace. It's true. And a lot of times is that patience that you're teaching is, you're right, you're modeling it when they're children. They don't understand. So I think it's really important that you get to their level. You know, get down, get on your knees, look in their little cute, precious eyes and say, because they will melt you, but they also, it's a great opportunity to teach them. And you just say no, and you tell them why. And you tell them it's for their good. And this is why we are doing this. And you explain. And for example, is me and you've talked about this, is patience is one of the examples is, you know, when your child wants that. For us, we're making a quesadilla, whatever food you desire in your home, and that child is so in a hurry, and they want it before their sibling, or even before you, and you're trying to just say, no, wait, get in their knees and get on your knees, look in their eyes and say, no, you can't do that now. Wait, you have to wait, and explain to them, you know, if we do this, it's going to burn, and then we're not going to be able to eat it.
Mhm.
Teach them at their level. Teach them at their level, but always,
Mhm.
always get at their eye level. Make sure they're paying attention to you, and that way they know that you are teaching them, that your undivided attention is on them, but you're teaching them that this is why I said no. It's okay to wait. And in the end, guess what? You're going to enjoy your quesadilla. Right now, I need you to go sit at the table, get yourself, wash your hands, get ready, and you're teaching them that. And then those are just little opportunities. What do you think? What are
Yeah.
some things that you have
No,
seen?
that's great. Oh, sorry, some things I've seen. Well, the when you were talking about breakfast, oh, that's like my morning every morning now these days. It's so funny now. I've learned to find humor in this now,
Uh,
and I used to get so upset before. But when he wakes up, he's ravished. At least my kid is. He's ready to go to the potty and he's ready to go eat. Like he wakes up saying, "Eat, eat." It's
Growing
so
boy.
funny. So we go downstairs, and if I had time to prep, or like if I got up a little bit earlier, or I'm usually up because I'm teaching in the morning, but if I had time and I had most of the breakfast ready, it's pretty seamless transition. But there's some times that I am exhausted and I go back to bed for another hour until he wakes up, and I'll bring him downstairs, and he'll just say, "Mom, eat." And I have like eggs on the stove already, but it needs a few more minutes. "Mom, eat." "Mom." Like the whole time. It's so funny. And so I've tried to, do the explaining part of, "Mommy's, look, it's cooking, see, but it's not done yet. We got to wait. We have to wait." And I try to distract him with like, "Do you want juice? Apple juice in the morning?" So I make him go get his cup wherever he laid it, the night before. He goes finds it. He has to bring it. He has to. I help him open the fridge because it's a little heavy. He has to take the apple juice out, so that gives me a little time, keeping him busy. Um, Another part is like if we do oatmeal in the morning. Sometimes, I microwave my oatmeal, and I do it in like short 45-minute seconds increments because sometimes it can boil over in the microwave. And it'll be we'll be done with the first 45-second increment, and the beeper will go off, and Talon will hear it, my son, and say, "Yay! Eat!" I'm like, "Oh, not yet. I'm gonna stir it. I'm gonna put it back in." And he lets out this groan. "Ugh, Mom, eat, Mom, no." It's so funny to me now, but
Yep.
I just try to ignore that bad behavior,
Mhm.
and also try to explain in that same token, we have to wait. Takes a little bit of time, and then he's excited. He's gotten better. It used to be bad, rough, when I first kind of started this eating breakfast together routine, but it's gotten easier. Now he's really helpful with his apple juice and prepping it, and he'll just say, "Okay," like you gotta wait. He's like,
Mhm.
"Okay," and I'll go play, and then I let him know. So I think that just took time too.
Yeah, and I think you hit some really great examples. Again, according to your child's age, yours is two.
Right.
Some will be older, some will be younger. I think for his age, distractions, things that were
Distraction.
distraction to distract him, but also produce results for him. And like you said, when you're cooking, if he's able to, and he's a little older, or even as him, give him tasks that will prepare him for the meal time. And it gives you time to prep the meal if it hasn't been prepped ahead of time, but it's teaching them patience. Mommy, you can help mommy by getting your, I'll let you fill your little container, up. I'll let you set the little table. And this
Hmm.
just gives you opportunity to teach him patience. And it also requires him to see the work because patient requires work. It gives us, we have to do the work in order to learn that patience. And what he's learning is, guess what? If I go get my cup, now this is, he may not fully understand it, but it gives him, um, I guess, the results at the end to see. He won't understand it at 2 years of age, but as you're teaching him according to his age, you're giving him tasks that he can see end results as
Yeah.
you're cooking, and it teaches him patience that things aren't like a snap at the fingers. It
Hmm.
takes time to get to um, that bowl of food, breakfast, whatever you cook, even if it's cereal. But that's patience. That's teaching them. You're modeling through action. That's wonderful. I like it.
Thanks. Well, and I think you already kind of hit on it, but that leads us to our
Oh,
second bullet
oh,
point.
oh, sorry.
So, our second bullet point of teaching patience is to explain.
Yeah.
Explain to your kid why we need
Mm-hmm.
to wait, in whatever situation you're in with your kid. So I know, for myself, as a young mom, I know one of the things I wanted to teach my kid was the importance of doing your best in everything,
Mm-hmm.
not taking the easy route, and that usually requires hard work. The straight and narrow paths require more patience. So,
Mm-hmm.
we need to explain that to them. And but of course, we can't say it like that to a 2-year-old. I
Mm-hmm.
wish I could just say it like that
No.
and have it click. I'm just kidding. But I think for a 2-year-old, it needs to be simple things. When I was at church um, my church mentioned a Aesop fable of the fox and the grapes in a recent sermon, and it brought back memories when we used to have this big book of short Aesop fable stories. Do you remember that, Mom?
I do.
I love that. It was quick bedtime stories with that one, for sure. But so in the story, just as a reminder, there's a fox who came across a vine of ripe grapes on a branch of like a tall tree that he couldn't quite reach. So he was jumping a few times, and then after a few attempts, he just like walked away. It says scornfully in the story, and he called the grapes they were sour grapes and that they weren't worth it. And I think the key word is that he was scornful about it, just like when you're not patient, you lean into anger.
Yep.
Fox gave up. He gave into his anger and was impatient for it. So, I want moments like that to explain to my kid because he's going to be that fox sometimes, and that's
Yes.
okay. He's going to, give into his anger and not be patient. And I want to be there to maybe have him turn around and try for those grapes that aren't sour. So, do you have any other points for?
I think you're right. I mean, I think all of us, even, but as little ones, they want what they want, what they want, just like we as adults. If we don't learn that, that it's going to change us. If you think about, like we said, become scornful. What happened to him when we don't learn how to be patient? Our
Mm,
It comes out. It changes us. It changes us to be a bitter person at times because we didn't get what we wanted, like that little fox, and
yeah.
it makes you a sour person. It's
Ooh.
always about it changes your attitude, and your attitude and your character is not pretty, and no one wants to be around that.
Yeah.
And that's what we want. Want to be able to be a light. We want to share. We want to share hope. We want to encourage each other. We want to know that no matter what we do, that there is going to be good in the end if we choose to do good. So we want to explain to our children, guess what? Just if you work hard, as a little child, I need you to be patient because just because you want something, it doesn't always mean it's good for you. There's a story about Darius where he went to Jesus and he said, "Please come, my daughter's going to die, and I need you to come." Well,
Mhm.
Jesus was in Jerusalem, where all everybody was all over him trying to get a miracle, whether it be healing, whether it be just despair in their life. And the lady
Yeah.
that had the bleeding that touched him, as she touched him, she was miraculously healed from her
Mhm.
bleeding all those years. And Darius was thinking, well, wait a minute, what about me? And instead, it wasn't in God's time for him to have that yet, for
Yeah.
him to be there. And yet Jesus said, you go and she'll be healed. And of course, when he went back there, that patience, it tested his faith. It tested his faith, that is this, I don't know if Darius could have thought, well, what about me? He could have been, it should have been with me instead of with that lady. My daughter's going to die. And Darius was also a man of faith, but yet he did not have that faith. So, of course, when Jesus went over there and he did cause her to wake
Yeah.
up, and at the end, he knew what he was going to do. It's
Yeah.
Darius that had to be patient through that.
Mhm.
Patient is what grew his faith in God and Jesus. So I think a lot of it that always goes back to our children as we're learning patience and we're teaching them. we're teaching them to be faithful in that there is something better for you when you wait, and that waiting is going to take work.
Yeah.
And right now, you don't understand it. A 2-year-old, he doesn't understand that. He just knows if he waits, guess what? He's going to get those eggs, or he's going to get that bowl of cereal. He doesn't know. He just knows it in what he can touch and see and feel. So right now, when you're teaching him, you're explaining to him in simple terms according to the age, you know, Talon, I need you to sit down. I need you to do this, you know, get your cup. And as you're doing that, at the end, when you're sitting with him, say, see, thank you. Thank you, Talon, for waiting. And that can come in different forms. Thank you, Talon, for helping me pick up your dirty little clothes and put in a little basket. Why? Because in the end, that helps mommy to be able to take it downstairs and get all the clothing done. All these explain is you want to give them the end result as best as they can understand.
Yeah.
So, and if we, as what the end is, you're really trying to teach them patience, and that patience comes in trusting that in the end, God's got a better plan for them in the end, and that's in life. So, but we can't always arrive there without hard work. But sorry, I went off a tangent. I apologize.
No, I love it. I love it. Well, you know, it's so funny when you were like talking about sitting down with them and saying, you know, thank you for doing this. That segues once again, Mom, perfectly into bullet point 3. You're just the queen of segues now at this point. So let's just go ahead and review. So we're talking about teaching patience. So we talked about modeling behavior. We talked about explaining to our kids, you know, why. And then, so our third bullet point is praise. Offer praise when they do the right thing, when they model that patience that we've been working in them for to learn. So, of course, I like to look for opportunities. It's especially easy when he's playing with his cousins and they're forced to take turns. There's like 3 of them, okay? So he is right in the middle. There's he's a 2-year-old, and he has a 3-year-old cousin. So, you know, between the 3 of them, they're really learning every single time they play. You know, they could have a vast amount of toys, but they always want what the one person has. You know, whoever looks like they're having the most fun, they want that toy. You know, so it's good in that moment. I like to teach him, you know, like let your cousin play with this first, and then, you know, after a few moments, then you can play with it. So it's really hard to teach them the moment when they're screaming and whatever. But it's over time, I think it does get easier. And then, like what you said, offer praise when he does it intentionally. And you have to search for those moments, because when you're hanging out as family and you just have your kids, you know, hanging all around, but you have like one eye on them, but you're also having a conversation. The moment I see like my kid give a toy to his cousin because he wanted to, I guess out of the affection of his heart, I go ahead and I just pop over and I'm like, thank you, you know, for letting your cousin play with that. Thank you for letting your cousin go first down the slide. Thank you for waiting, you know, and give a hug, give a little kiss. And I do the same for his cousins too. Because if we can foster those good moments and praise them, you know, you would hope that those would grow just like a plant.
Exactly.
I know for my own son, he has so much joy when I praise him and I show him individual affection in that moment, you know. I hope that encourages him to continue to do the right thing as we're training him up.
Absolutely. I think, you know, you should always give validation, and that validation, I say, it's an encouragement. You encourage someone. Always choose to look at the good instead of the bad. It does your heart good, because we always can find something to complain about. And we choose to see that our children are doing good. What you're doing is you're recognizing there's growth in that little child. Wow, look at he's good at sharing. He's good at saying thank you and please, and that helps them to to see it encourages them, it gives them confidence that what they're doing is right because they really want to please you. They really do. Like I said in the last our last meeting is that they love you. You're their super mom. For them, you're their hero. So every time you do that to them, it just they're going to want to continue to do that. And when you praise them, what they do is they want to be able to do that not to you but to others. So
Mm-hmm.
I do think those opportunities, anytime you see them, also should give you as a mom encouragement that when you do fail at times because of life gets hectic,
Yeah.
children scream, children
Right.
cry, and we're trying to accomplish
Literally
something
right now.
right
Literally
now.
right now.
Literally right now.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure if it's gonna pick up in the recording, but my kid is fighting his nap time so hard right now.
I don't
So
hear it. I
you
don't hear
don't
it.
hear it?
I don't
Okay.
hear it.
Well, we'll see.
I don't hear it. So take two.
Yes. I
Um,
apologize if you hear a little scream in the background as my kid's fighting his nap. We are
okay.
readjusting. We are figuring things out with the snap time right now as a talk.
Well,
So
well,
we're gonna
I
figure
I
it
don't
out.
think it's I don't hear it on my end. So I'm
Okay. Well,
hoping
thanks.
maybe you closing it. But I guess I was going to say take two. Yes, I think what you're doing is seeing every opportunity you can to always praise him, but also make sure you're always choosing to see the good. And as you're teaching that, you're also emulating that whole thing that we're learning patience ourselves. We're teaching them to be patient. So also praise them when you see them, like you said, if they are being patient with their cousins, taking
Or
turns,
siblings. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
siblings, yes, or other friends, family members, even strangers. All that is great opportunities for them to grow because the more they do it, it's it's going to get easier. Just like us, the more we choose to be patient with one another, it's going to become it's just going to be easier to do. That becomes who we are, and not to just be looking at the negative.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today on part 2 of teaching patience. And we really appreciate if you stuck all the way around to the end here. We've really been enjoying learning to create these podcasts, me and Mom. We are far apart, actually. We're in 2 different states, so it's been fun to collaborate and join efforts on this. So thank you, Mom, for
Thank you,
making
listeners.
time
Thank
for
you,
me.
Nicolette. We're growing and we're learning, but we do appreciate all our listeners being out there and hanging in with us. We hope that we can bring you a smile, encouragement, and just to keep on going, not to give up, and that we're here all together to lift each other up. As moms, we are going through so many seasons, but we have the best news and the best encourager, and that's God's word. And we have each other, and we just want you to know that we love you.
Yes, thank you. You're sweet, Mom. It's okay. Alrighty. Well, we're gonna go ahead and head out then. I'm gonna go check on my toddler who's fighting his nap. It's okay. And we hope you join us next week to see what we have in store. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Mom. Thank you for listening to the Mommy Seasons podcast. If you would like to know more about Mommy Seasons, feel free to visit our website at www.mommyseasons.com. We look forward to next time. Bye.
Bye.